Welcome to Make a Path Presents. My name's Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 11, First Impression Review. Alright guys, I want to start this off by talking about The Talking Dead just briefly. I have gotten an overwhelming number of messages on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else, even YouTube, about the fan contest they had. Yes, I did do a submission. Yes, I put the submission on this channel and I sent it into The Talking Dead. Now, for whatever reason, they had a filtering process where they filtered out certain submissions. I know that because a couple people came to me and said that, hey, you know, we all got the email back from them saying we got your submission, we'll put it right up, and you know, a handful of people didn't get their submission put up there, including mine. So I don't know what their filtering process is. I have no information on that. I know that mine wasn't put up there, so just to answer everyone's questions right off the bat, and thank you so much for the support. I mean, I got a ton of support, but just answering everybody at once. It did not go up, and it's not up, and I think they even picked the contest winner, so it's like officially over. So if people are trying to vote for it still, just forget about it. It's in the past. All right, let's jump right to my actual prediction video for this episode. This is something that I wanted to do. However, they moved a little faster in this episode than I thought they would, which is a good thing because I had that gut feeling they were going to do a lot from the comic. For this particular moment, I just didn't want to come out and ruin it because I felt like it could be a gut punch of awesome, you know, and it was. And they did move faster. I thought we would get a glimpse inside the Hilltop, the new community, and then cut it down and bring it back up for episode 12. And I was nervous because I didn't want to go over the predictions there and be too spoilery, but they killed it. They showed us just enough. It was perfect. We got a short amount of time on the road with Jesus, but just enough to get us introduced to some new Hilltop characters, especially with Glenn and Maggie, so they could do the ultrasound. They can get, you know, the meds they need for her pregnancy, and they got a doctor there if they need be to travel. And I think that'll be Maggie's connection to the Hilltop, because a lot of comic book fans, we're not going to go in depth here, we're going to save that for the afterthoughts video, but a lot of comic fans are wondering what's going to connect Maggie to the Hilltop, and I believe it's going to be her pregnancy and the doctor that's there. So again, yeah, that's something I'm going to do every now and then where I'll drop subtle hints, but if it's going to be so much like the comic, I'm going to leave that in the air, because sometimes when they just translate so much from the comic, it can have the potential to just be way too spoilery. But speaking of the Hilltop, I think the Hilltop suffers the same kind of problem that Alexandria has, and again, until I find out otherwise, I feel in my gut this is a budgetary issue, and that's the Hilltop seems a little too thinned out. In the comic, you can feel the thriving community. You got people in the streets, kids are playing. I mean, it's pretty thick. On the show, it's thinned out some, and it gave it an underwhelming feeling at first. It feels like there's only 20 people there, and in the comic, there was a bunch. You know what I'm saying? And on the show, it feels like they're going to try to say there's a bunch, but we just don't see them. Takes you out of the moment a little. Now, we got to see a little more Rick and Michonne in this episode, showing and proving that it wasn't just a one-night stand. Michonne is officially taking over comic Andrea's relationship with Rick Grimes. I felt comfortable yet again with it. In this episode, I like when he puts his hand on her thigh or leg. I like those little confirming moments that confirms that this is a solid relationship that is here to stay. I know a lot of people were still saying it's just going to be a one-night stand thing, whoop-de-whoop, and I am liking it so far. And I did say in a previous video, and a lot of people were like, wait a minute, how are you comfortable? Or no, how do you want them to flesh it out more? They've been fleshing it out for this whole time. Well, no, that's not true. They've been fleshing out them, you know, getting together, but maintaining that relationship as a couple. It's as important to continue that now than it was setting it up for the past 2 or 3 seasons. You know what I'm saying? If they don't continue with that, it could feel, you know, like an artificial replacement. You get what I'm saying? And I don't want to wait any longer to get into this, but how about the awesome what? Yo, they killed it. My cousins were little chatterboxes at that moment, and I knew it was coming. I was like, guys, wait for it. Just wait. And the room exploded when Rick was like, what? Because it was too perfect. I love that scene. Drenched in blood, and I seen a couple comments where people are like, what did he jam his fingers in his throat? Well, no, he clearly stabs him in the throat. But they did that scene from the comic good. In the comic, they had he used the guy's knife up against him. He pushed it in his throat. And I was kind of expecting that, so I was pretty shocked when Rick just came up and was like, shank, you know? I didn't even see what he stabbed him with. I seen it was like a little shank, but I don't know if that was even, I don't know, like a piece of metal he found on the ground, or that was one of his knives he had on him. It was so quick, and I only seen it the once, so, but it was awesome. I love that scene. Loved it. One of my favorite moments on the TV show to date. It's up there if I had to do a top 10 list of Rick awesome moments, you know? But let's move over to Maggie now. Besides the pregnancy stuff, we see her owning her comic book role. As you guys know, in the comic book, she has a more upfront role, without getting too spoilery, in the Hilltop. And I've seen a lot of people trying to say that there's a lot of foreshadowing for Carol taking over that role. Maggie's like pretty much insignificant. And I understand if you're a huge Carol fan, yeah, you're going to go for that. But I just did not see that at all. I'm not seeing them build that up yet with the Carol character. So it's nice that they're putting more of a intertwined leadership role, kind of, sort of, with Maggie. And I'm not just talking about the Hilltop. I'm talking about being trained at Alexandria with Deanna, all the way up into this point where she's making, you know, deals with Gregory at the Hilltop and so forth. We'll dive deep in the afterthoughts. And that's because I want to go over to Gregory here. The fucking show stealer. Holy shit, listen, when this guy was cast, the first thing I said is I'm comfortable with this. I forget if it was on Twitter or in the video I made of the casting, but I knew this guy since, well, I don't know him, but I've known of his acting ranges and abilities all the way back in Terminator 2, where the T-1000 put a knife through his fucking face when he was drinking milk. That is the same guy. That's how cool this is. But I've seen him in numerous amounts of movies and TV shows. He's got a great, huge body of work. He's one of those actors where you might not know his name, but you know his face, and once you look him up, you'll see a ton of movies he's in. He's one of those, you know, and he does great. And I knew he would do good, but holy shit, even having high expectations for him as Gregory, he blew me away. Blew me away. This is like a character that was just ripped off the pages of the comic book and thrown on the show, and it was just like, wow. I mean, I am very excited for Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan, and I feel like this is going to be hard to trump. And I'm not saying that, you know, Gregory is a more exciting character than Negan. I'm just simply saying that it's so amazing and authentic of a character ripped right off the pages. It's hard to top, you know, and I'm excited for Jeffrey Dean Morgan's Negan to top that. If he does, you know, we'll see, but I have faith he'll come close. But what I'm trying to say, though, is this is amazing. He did a fantastic job as Gregory. Just amazing. And I've seen a lot of comments already just on Twitter where people were like, that is Gregory. He was a slime ball in the comic, and I feel slimy with him on the show. People are already saying, when is this guy gonna die? You know, they're already, because he's such a slime ball. I wanted Maggie to just pull out a knife and be like, listen, you're in a bed. I could just kill you right now. I could gut you literally right now, and there's nothing you could do about it. Like, you'll die, your people might be pissed off, but you'll be dead. So let's make a deal. But she chose a different way. But with this casting as Gregory, I am, you know, a whole new level of excited for the story that's coming, because I know that when Gregory's involved in the story, I'm gonna love it, because I think the acting was, you know, A++++. Just terrific, especially embodying that character, the acting, the range, the sliminess, the assholeness, everything. Loved it. Now, I know I could rave on and on about this episode because I did enjoy it. However, there are a couple disappointments. Like I said, the Hilltop feeling kind of thin. And then there's another comic disappointment, which is something that I was able to actually push aside really good. You know, when I'm watching the show now, I'm watching it straight as like a TV-only fan. And I just don't even think about how they're bringing the comic material. Like, I'm trying not to be prepared for it. Like, when Rick said, what? I knew it was just too hard not to. But with the shit going down in the Hilltop, I was, it was in the back of my mind, so it wasn't really interfering with how much I enjoyed the episode. But I will say, afterwards, once they left the Hilltop and everything, I settled into it, thought about the comic a little bit, and there is one thing I was eager to see that we didn't get and most likely won't get. When they showed the bonfire, they were burning the bodies down there. That's in the comic, but they do it later on that day, and Rick actually goes down by the bonfire, and people are like, "We don't want you here, you killed him, whoop-de-whoop." And Jesus had an awesome line of dialogue where he just came up and he was like, "Listen, homeboy was a coward, let's not pretend, whoop-de-whoop." And he did it like a boss, like Jesus swooped in like a boss. Now in the comic, Jesus looks, more muscular. He looks more, he looks older, wiser, tougher. He looks more like a badass. Nothing against Tom Payne. He's doing a great job as Jesus. I really like him as Jesus. But in the comic, Jesus looks intimidating. When he's clowning around, it's like, okay. But when Jesus is like, "Listen, you're a punk bitch," you get the chills. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of vibe you get from comic Jesus. But we didn't have that in the show. But nonetheless, as an overall grade, first impression, I'm going to have to say this is a mid-great episode. I absolutely loved it. For those not aware, that's, one down from the highest rating. That's how much I love this episode, first viewing. And if this is just a glimpse of the awesomeness to come in the last 5 episodes of The Walking Dead, then we're in fan heaven, I tell you that. But listen, guys, I want to let you know, give me your thoughts and opinions about this episode down in that comment box, because I'm going to read all your thoughts and opinions. I'm going to watch this episode again, and in a few days later on this week, I'm going to upload my in-depth afterthoughts video for those who are interested to take another dive into this episode and rip it apart, compare some to the comic, and look at things we might have missed, or hints or other subtle foreshadowing that might even be in this episode. So make sure you even watch it again. Go ahead and put your thoughts and opinions in that comment box. Check out the prediction video for the next episode. And also, if you're a comic book fan, I got these Walking Dead comic covers. I took a little break because we're starting to catch up. But if you are a fan, check those out. I'll put this eye right here, somewhere up in here. You can click on that. It'll drop down to a couple different videos. I'll put the playlist to the Walking Dead comic covers. We go over facts and information and details, foreshadowing. It's one of my all-time favorite videos to make on this channel. I think I have about like 20 of them roughly, and I got 3 more I'm working on. They'll be coming within the next couple weeks. Keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much for all the subscribers. We are now at like 43,000 subscribers strong, on the road to 100K. I stopped because I think we're past that. Yeah, we're starting to really pick up again, so thank you for that. Thoughts and opinions in that comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.